Disclaimer agreement. The stories shared on the show are personal experiences and reflect the opinions, journeys, and outcomes of the individuals interviewed. They are not intended as medical advice and should not be used as a substitute for professional diagnosis, treatment, or medical care. This show aims to inspire wellness by sharing insights into mental health, emotional well-being, and spiritual practices that have supported others on their healing journeys. While we may talk about things like mindfulness, faith, meditation, or self-care, this content is for informational and inspirational purposes only. We are not your doctors, therapists, or licensed health professionals, and this show does not provide medical, psychological, or spiritual counseling services to you. Always consult a qualified professional for any physical, mental, or emotional health concerns. Listening to or watching this show does not create a therapeutic, doctor-patient, or client relationship. The show, its hosts, guests, and producers are not responsible for any decisions or actions taken based on the content shared. Every healing journey is unique. What worked for one person may not work for another. Please take what resonates and leave the rest. This show shares personal stories and insights for inspiration only. We're not giving medical or mental health advice. Always talk to a licensed professional before making any changes to your health, wellness, or spiritual practices. Everyone's journey is different. Take what resonates and leave the rest. Raw and real, resistance to resilience.
Hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome. I am truly excited to have you here. We are going to start the premiere of Raw and Real. How are you doing, everyone? Thank you so much for joining me. If you are on here, feel free to engage and chat with us and see what we're about. This is the movement from resistance to resilience, where ladies and gentlemen share their stories of how they have shifted their mindset and their resistance to resilience. In the show notes will be their bio, their headshot, as well as their social media platforms. This is just the beginning and the premiere, so stay tuned. We will have the calendars out after the show, as well as engagement tools. So without further ado, I would love to welcome to the stage the premiere, my brainstormer and my friend, Miss Rebecca Mott. Hello, Miss Rebecca. How are you doing?
Hello, Andrea. It is fantastic day here in North Georgia, and
Yes.
I'm so excited to be with you tonight.
Excellent. It's an honor and privilege to have you here. Thank you so much for being here. So let's get you familiar with the audience, familiar with you, and share a little bit about who you are and what you're about and what made you join Resistance to Resilience, Raw and Real.
Yeah. So, first of all, I am a soon-to-be retired corporate professional with over 30 years of corporate experience. I own my own consultancy firm, Rethought LLC, where it's all about the power of we. You know, in corporate cultures today, it can be a dog eat dog kind of Shark Tank kind of world, and I'm all about connection, collaboration, and empowerment. And how do we empower our workforce, right? And how do leaders specifically empower their teams? So that's what I do and what I'm about. I live in North Georgia, and I love to garden and have a few animals on my little homestead. So that's a little bit about me. And this conversation is really exciting for me, and I was sharing with you in a previous conversation
Yes.
a little bit about my healing journeys and some of the things that I learned, and it it really resonated to me when you reached out and said that I'm doing this and I want you to be a part, because it's something that I've had to personally navigate these waters, right? And uh, I, I talk to people in my personal life all the time, my friends, my family members, about
Oh,
how they
you
can
got a little
engage with the
delay.
medical.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah, we get a little
community
interruption, but
in
it's okay.
a way where uh, what is done. Uh,
Oh, we got a little interruption. Are you there? Yeah, we got a little interruption. Are you there?
I am still here.
Okay. All right. We picked up where you left off saying that you were excited about this. We talked about this topic and you were going through the waters, and that's when the technology gremlins decided to interrupt. So go ahead. Oh, little interruption still. Bear with us, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know what's going on. Some technical difficulties. If you're there in the comments, give a thumbs up. If you are new to the channel and new to the experience. Alrighty. Miss Rebecca, are you still there? Can you hear me? Give me a thumbs up.
I am still here.
Okay. All right.
Can you hear me?
Yes, 3 times a charm. Let's pick up where we left off. Okay, so you were talking about the waters, about what you endured and why you're coming aboard
Yeah.
to be featured. Go ahead.
Yeah. So uh, I share with my friends and my family things that I've learned that when they're engaging with their medical professionals that will allow them to have a better experience with whatever treatment they're receiving. Um, and
Mhm.
so that is something I had to learn how to do, which is advocate for myself. So I
Mhm.
have survived 2 rare autoimmune diseases. And when we say rare, it means that fewer than 1 in 100,000 people get these types of conditions, and these are conditions that doctors don't see often.
Mhm.
And it was a really difficult. I had a really difficult time both times, both with getting a diagnosis and some difficulties with treatment. And I learned through both of those ways to engage with doctors, nurses, medical professionals that helped me be able to heal from both of those conditions.
Mhm.
And of course, I had my own practices that I did during both of those that helped me as well. So I just love sharing this type of information because in our current medical system,
Mhm.
it is really diagnose and treat. And when we say treat, it's usually in the form of a medication. But there are all other kinds of ways that we as patients can help
Mhm.
ourselves.
Right. Absolutely.
And doctors actually they give you some clues and hints at it, but they really don't give you a whole lot of guidance. And so I just like to share my experience with everyone, and hopefully there are some people can take away some practical tips of things that they can do to help themselves wherever they are in their healing journey.
Excellent. Excellent. So let's take a deep dive. So, with the conditions that you are experiencing, the autoimmune conditions, I would say, what is the biggest fear that patients have that you've been able to overcome and really have a shift in perspective as a patient as opposed to listening and, I guess it would be accepting the doctor's, treatments and so forth. What would be the biggest fear that patients have that maybe yourself had experienced that once you shifted your perspective, you were able to have a change his mind as a patient?
So one of the things, if you've got a good doctor,
Mhm.
one of the things that those doctors will do when they diagnose you with any condition, they
Mhm.
give you what they call a prognosis, which
Right.
is basically the outlook, like that you have this condition, here's how your life might change, right?
Right.
And
Right.
a lot of times they give you, Andrea, the worst case scenario. So on
Okay.
my first autoimmune condition, I was
Hmm.
told that if we couldn't manage it properly, that I would go blind.
Mm.
I would lose
Wow.
my eyesight. And that so that was scary, right?
Right.
I was
Hmm.
young and
Hmm.
I had a growing family. I had young children at the time. I was in the middle of my career, well, really at the beginning of my career. And so, yeah, and then you get this diagnosis that, you know, hey, you've got a condition that might make you permanently blind. And
Mm.
that can strike fear in your heart, really.
Sure.
That's the end of it, right? That's the
Right. Right.
whenever doctors tell you these things, they're being very scientific about it and
Hmm.
trying to give you a realistic picture of what your condition is, but
Okay.
you're hearing it through the ears of, "Oh my God, my life is about to change. Oh my
Right.
God, I might be blind. What does that mean?"
Right. Right.
And that is really, I think, one of the biggest hurdles that
Hmm.
a lot of us face when we receive that diagnosis and that prognosis is that fear of what is going to happen, what is going to change, and you don't know. And
Mm.
I've had doctors tell me,
Hmm.
we're going to give you medication, but we're not sure if it's going to work. Wow,
Mm.
that's scary, right?
Yes.
You
Yes.
might go blind. We'll give you this medication. It might work,
Right. 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 I'm coming to you. I'm coming to you for advice. You're the professional, but it might work. Right.
but it might work. And they are just being realistic about their diagnosis and prognosis, and then the fact that nothing is 100%, right?
Mhm. Absolutely.
For sure. And so that can cause all kinds of concerns to come up for you as the patient. You're
Mhm.
sitting
Right.
there, like I said, I'm thinking, I'm going to go blind in my early
Journey.
30s. Yeah, here I'm going to go blind and be blind for the rest of my life. And so
Right.
yeah, and that can set off a whole emotional cascade that we
Hmm.
have to manage as patients, right? That
Right.
shock, that
Hmm.
fear, that
Right.
anxiety,
Mm.
your heart's racing, your mind's racing, and then and then you consult with Mr. Google. So I'm that person that likes to Google everything, and then you
Right.
consult with Mr. Google, and Mr. Google tells you even worse things that can
You go
happen
down
to
a
you.
rabbit hole. You go down a rabbit hole. Next thing you know, you got something in your foot, in your elbow, in your ear. You're like, what is going on?
Yeah, because of course they're
Yeah.
gonna pull up, they might pull up news stories
Yes.
related to your condition, and the news story didn't end well, right?
Exactly.
And then you get to reading all of that information, and it just becomes overwhelming. Um, and so between the emotional cascade that it sets off, and then that fear that comes up, it can just be, like I said, overwhelming.
Absolutely. So what would you say, what shifted your perspective? How do you approach it, and what angle do you come facing when you hear such conditions and you consult your medical doctor and physicians and care coordinators? What has shifted the mindset and the approach? What could you encourage some people if they do have a fear,
Yeah.
they get a prognosis or a diagnosis of some kind? What was one action step you took about your perspective shift, if you'd like to share?
Yeah. I think maintaining a positive outlook and positive mindset. So
Hmm.
I am a believer.
Hmm.
I'm a Christian, and my faith played a pivotal role in all of my healing journeys, right?
Hmm. Right.
And understanding that we are wonderfully made,
Hmm.
and part of that wonderfully made of our bodies is we our bodies are created to heal.
Right.
So if you've ever had a cut,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, eventually it covers up, and sometimes you can't even tell
Where it was.
where the where it was. It heals
Right.
so well, you can't even tell. You're like, I know I hurt myself right there, but I really can't see it.
Right.
As a matter of fact, I sliced the palm of my hand open
Oh, okay. Oh, wow.
about 3 years ago. It
Wow.
had stitches all. I had like eight, I think, stitches in my palm,
Mm-hmm.
and I can't. Today I look at my palm and I can't see where that cut was. Right.
Wow.
So
Wow.
our bodies are wonderfully made.
Yeah.
And saying to yourself that,
Mm-hmm.
yes, my body may be sick. If you've ever had a cold and you got over it, or the
Right.
flu and you got over it, or whatever, and you got over it, it's because your body was able to repair itself and heal
Mhm.
itself. And it has all kinds of, and I won't get into the science of it, but it's all kinds of things inside your body that go into motion whenever it's injured or sick to help you heal. And
Okay.
so
So the
focusing your
perspective
mind
there.
on that part, right?
Okay.
Not focusing on the sickness. Okay, the sickness is there, but
Okay.
focusing on the healing part and receiving the fact that your body is repairing itself. And then
Okay.
that helps you to also begin to shift your mindset into, well, what other things can I do to support my body as it's healing, right?
Okay. So
And
what would be
so,
three steps people can take here and now if they've got a condition or a mindset that, oh my goodness, this is the worst case scenario? What would be three points that they can take away now
yeah,
that
so
they can do right
first, first, take a deep breath, slow down,
now? Hmm.
right?
Right.
And say to yourself
Hmm.
positive words of affirmation, right? And so
Okay.
I have scriptures that I pulled out of the Bible.
Okay.
And so I have a whole list of them that
Okay.
I quote over and over to myself
Mm.
to remind myself of God's healing power,
Okay.
right? And so that's one thing that you can do is make a list of some positive affirmations. And
Okay.
I put those affirmations on an index card. And
Yes.
so I have a stack of index cards.
Right.
And every morning when I get up and every evening before I go to bed, I'll read through my affirmations. Sometimes I read silently, most effective if you read them aloud. So that's one thing that I
Okay.
learned to do through the through the processes of my healing journeys
Okay.
is being consistent with those positive affirmations of healing, right? What
Okay.
you tell yourself matters. And so you
Right.
need to tell yourself the right thing. Even if you feel bad right now, you feel like crap today, but you got to speak those positive words of affirmation. So that's one thing.
Okay.
I
Now
think
for those non-readers, what would be the second thing that you have?
so if you're not into reading and writing and doing all of that, you can go on YouTube and find all kinds of meditations and positive affirmations that you can listen to for free, right?
Okay.
There
Mm-hmm.
are some, and you can find things that resonate with you. Just make sure they're positive. So you can go to YouTube, type in healing words of affirmation, meditations that a lot of times come with scripts of words of affirmation, all of those kinds of things, and begin listening to those positive words of affirmation, right?
Okay.
Play those. And along with that, second tip is I love music, and I believe music has healing power.
Yes.
You may not believe that. So if you don't believe that, you can put that tip to the side. But I
Okay.
believe that music has healing power. So one of the things that I did when I received my current diagnosis, which is breast cancer that I'm
Okay.
currently navigating, I put together a playlist. And it's my power playlist, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so it's full of songs that uplift and inspire me, right?
Okay.
Those songs that make my heart sing. Those
Right.
songs that some of them are songs that make me want to get up and dance, right?
Right. Right.
Those kinds of songs, right? Don't put your. This is not the time for the blues.
Right. Right. Right.
The blues
Exactly.
has its place. I love the blues, but this is not the time for the blues, right? We
Okay.
want we want songs that are going to lift our spirits. And so
Okay.
I put together my power playlist.
Okay.
And anytime I'm feeling a little bit down, which if you're on a healing journey, you're going to have many of those days where you just feel down,
Okay.
right? You almost feel like giving up, right? I've had those moments where I feel like I just like I can't take anymore, right? And you put on your playlist, and by that third or fourth song, Andrea,
Uh-huh.
you will begin to experience a shift, right, in your emotional mindset. You may experience a relief. Sometimes I've done that, and I end up just breaking down and crying, right?
Right.
Which
Yeah.
is sometimes necessary on a
Sure.
healing journey, right?
In
Is to
order to heal,
release
you
that
must heal.
emotion.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, because part of going through any diagnosis like this, it's a grief process. You've
Absolutely.
lost your health,
Yeah.
right? And
Right.
you have the potential to your body may be changing in ways that you don't understand. You
Right.
may have limitations, right?
Mm-hmm.
On my first diagnosis that I was talking about, uh, I would have these extreme migraines,
Mm-hmm.
extreme sensitivity to light. So when the migraine would kick in, I would have to go into a dark room. I could not even go outside on a sunny day because it was bad.
Yeah.
So that can bum you out. And so have that power playlist ready. And the
Yes.
third thing I would say is very practical. No matter what condition you have, water is your friend.
Okay.
I think a lot of us are dehydrated,
Yes.
and uh, and if you're healthy, dehydration causes problems. If you're sick, dehydration causes even more problems.
Right. Right.
And so one of the things that I've learned over my healing journeys is the importance of drinking water and also fueling my body in a nutritious way, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your body is in a healing mode, and there are certain things it needs nutrition wise to be
Mm-hmm.
able to heal. So, having a good talk with a nutritionist or someone who understands about nutrition is a really good move if you're navigating your healing journey to help you understand, besides the water, which is step one.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody can do that, right? Start drinking
Right.
more water, but the other part is, how might I need to change my diet to support
Right.
my body?
Excellent. So we're going to pull up on the screen a recap of Miss Jessica's, Rebecca's, because I'm looking at the post that we have. Rebecca's key tips. We're going to number one to keep the tips to shift your mindset when receiving any kind of medical or conditions of a prognosis. Number one, prayer and meditation. Those are key to kind of keep you grounded to your belief system and to have peace. Then we have here number two, we have coming up on the screen. The second thing, which I absolutely love, is the power of the playlist. And that is creating a playlist of your own where we have the opportunity to listen and watch positive affirmation and on music playlists. These can be found on YouTube, and as she mentioned, they are available and free. You just type in any of those keywords and we will definitely get that playlist that is any type of genre you need. And then finally, the key takeaway, the third key takeaway is water is your friend. Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm still learning to become friends with water. I have to put a slice of lime or lemon in it, but I'm getting there. So definitely. So let's shift gears a little bit as we're coming to the middle segment of this episode. So thank you first and foremost, and I want to commend you and acknowledge you for your transparency, your vulnerability, and your courage and strength with sharing what you're enduring this way. And I truly empower and encourage you. Thank you so much for being here. And for ladies and gentlemen just tuning in, we are not giving you medical advice or mental health advice. We're just sharing stories of other options that other people have utilized. But as always, talk to your licensed professional before making any changes to your health, wellness, or spiritual practices, because everyone's journey is different. Take what resonates with you and leave the rest. So we're shifting gears, Rebecca. And so as we talked about the coping techniques that we can do on our own, self-healing, getting into a safe space, the mindset, instead of going down the rabbit hole of Google resources, based on your knowledge of resources that you've utilized over your journey, I'm going to pull up some information. And again, this is just for screenshot, explore at your own doing. So I'm going to have you lead which resource you would like to talk about first. We're going to keep it brief for everyone, just a brief synopsis and how it has helped you. Mm-hmm. And then we're going to close the show of takeaways and any, thoughts and experiences that you have to lead people into the light. Yeah. So the first one, what would you like to talk about? Which resource link is benefit for you? We will be able to do that.
Well, I want to talk about next, very important, because I want to share a couple of more tips, because one of the things that I share with people is, your doctors, your nurses, your medical professionals, they're there to help you. And sometimes you have to help them help you.
Okay.
So, I've worked in, like I said, in the corporate world for a little more than 30 years, and I've worked around some super smart people that were experts in their field, right? These are the type of people that you could, whatever topic there's their domain of expertise, they could sit there and talk to you for 2 hours about it, right?
Right.
And so they have this wealth of knowledge,
mm-hmm.
but a lot of times they forget that other people don't know what they know.
Right. Right.
So one of the things that I encourage people to do is to ask your doctor questions and make sure you're informing yourself, right? So when your doctor tells you, hey, I recommend this kind of treatment for you, one of the questions that I ask is, okay, doctor, I understand this is my diagnosis, this is my prognosis, this is what you're recommending. What are the other options? What are the other options?
Okay.
And what that does is it triggers your doctor, your nurse to stop and think, and that, first of all, you're an experiment of one. There is nobody else like you on the planet, right? You are uniquely created by God. There is no one else like you. Right. And so what worked for Andrea may not work for Rebecca, right? And so you need to understand what all your options are. So ask your doctor, ask your nurse, what other things can I do to support myself? And a lot of times they will have a lot of helpful advice for you. But one of the resources I'd like to share is a resource that I started using after an almost fatal medical error happened to me. So I don't even remember what the condition was, but I got prescribed, I think it was an antibiotic by the doctor. And I went to my local pharmacy that I used to fill the prescription and handed the prescription in, and I told them I would wait for it. Well, a few minutes later, the pharmacist came from behind the desk and called me up and said, "I need to talk to you." And when I went up, he said, "Your doctor prescribed you this." And I said, "Yes." He said, "Well, there is a major interaction with a medication you're already taking.
Okay.
And I can't fill this for you. But what I will do is call the doctor and I'll talk to the doctor about the other options and we'll get you squared away. We'll get you something else to substitute for this, but you cannot take this medication because it will have a major interaction with one of your medications you're already taking." Oh my goodness, that scared me, Andrea. I
Wow.
thought,
Yeah.
wow, if he had just filled that prescription and handed it to me and I'd gone home, I could have been a statistic.
Wow.
So drugs.com, so here's the resource that I'd like to share.
Let me get that
It's
up. Okay.
drugs.com. So a number of years ago, they created this drug interaction checker. So this is free, it's online. And what you can do with this drug interaction checker is you can put in the list of your drugs in there. You can save your list of drugs. But when you put the list of drugs you're taking in there, it will come up and let you know if there are interactions with the drugs you're taking. And so the way that I use this tool is I have my list of drugs that I'm taking and I have it saved in this tool. And when I get prescribed something new, before I take it, I will add it to my list and see if there are any interactions there that I need to be aware of before I take that drug. So it's just a second check. Your pharmacist is probably going to catch it. Another tip that I would tell you is that if you are put on a new prescription, ask for the pharmacist to counsel you about it. That's their job.
Absolutely.
They will come from behind the counter. They'll tell you all about the drugs, tell you all the warnings about the drugs, side effects. That's their job. The doctors a lot of times don't know everything about the drug. They know maybe the top side effect or something like that. But the pharmacists know everything about that drug. And so they are the ones that you really should talk to if you're prescribed a new medication and you go to your pharmacy, ask to speak with the pharmacist and tell them, "I just need to understand the side effects of this medication or if there are any warnings on this medication. If you could please explain that to me," and they'll be happy to do it. And this is a free tool you can use.
No, absolutely. I think this is a great asset because, also just like all other jobs, ladies and gentlemen, there's a turnover in staff. And so if you have relationship or a connection with your pharmacist and then they are on vacation or they're not here or they've moved on, it's important that you educate them. Oh, by the way, these are the medications. And I think a good tidbit, Rebecca, I think too, is what I've seen when working in the social work and psychology industries is definitely that of having on hand, on person, a list of your medications.
Yes.
Definitely. It's definitely a help. And in that regard that, something should happen. Life happens, things happen. And it's just definitely important on how we can be more accountable, responsible, and helping others as well. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And so the second thing I'd like to talk to that's related to a resource I want to share. So one of my conditions was a rare autoimmune condition,
Hmm.
uh, had to do with my liver. So the liver is an amazing organ. You
Okay.
cannot live without a liver. There are a
Mm.
lot of your organs you can live without. The
Yeah.
liver is not
Yeah.
one of them.
I lost about two or three, so I haven't lost any major ones yet. So we're good to go. So I'm
And
going to
the
pull it up on
liver,
the screen. Go
yeah,
ahead.
and the liver is responsible for all kinds of processes. And
Right.
I was diagnosed with autoimmune hepatitis,
Mm.
which will mimic if you know anybody that has hepatitis and
Hmm.
how it affects the liver, or if you've known anybody who's ever had any liver problems from drinking too much alcohol. It, it has the same effects, the autoimmune hepatitis.
Oh,
So
wow.
basically, it scars the liver. Your immune system attacks your liver and scars it,
Right.
just like it would be if you had been drinking alcohol.
Okay.
And I was in full blown liver failure.
Okay.
Um, but through the medication, through God's healing power, uh, I was able to, my body responded to the drugs they gave me.
Mm.
And it was a long healing journey, but I was declared.
Mm.
My liver doctor told me in 20. So it happened in 2010, and in 2018 he said, "Don't come back unless you have problems."
Oh, well, that's
So
great.
yeah,
Congratulations.
which
I'm
is
glad you're
always good to hear, right? It's always
good.
good to hear. But the liver also is self-healing, so it will heal
Yeah.
itself. It will regenerate itself. But one
Yeah.
of the things I want to talk about is related to that diagnosis is listen to your body and
Okay.
listen to your intuition,
Okay.
because something was telling me I went to the doctor and I was being managed by a nurse practitioner, and I'm not
Okay.
hating on nurse practitioners,
Uh-huh.
but I'm just saying that was the reality. I was being managed by a nurse practitioner, and my health was deteriorating, and she was just telling me, "You just need to take some time off and get some rest. Your body, you'll get over it. It's like the flu. You'll get over it." She kept
Okay.
telling me that until I finally had the last visit I had with her. she 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 was horrified when she walked into the room with me. She
Mm.
immediately sent me for my blood to be drawn, and
Right.
she said, "I'm going to call you personally with the results." Well, by the time I left the doctor's office and got home, and at that point I lived about 15 minutes away from the doctor's office,
Okay.
uh, the phone rang. As soon as I got home, my cell phone rang, and she said, "You need to go straight to the emergency room."
Mm. Okay. Wow.
And I was hospitalized and diagnosed during that hospital stay with
Mm.
uh, with liver failure and then with the autoimmune hepatitis.
Wow.
Thankfully, there was a doctor who was familiar with this rare condition
Uh-huh.
that was able to see me in my hospital stay and diagnose me. But a lot of times with these rare diseases,
Hmm.
doctors will sometimes blow over your
Okay.
symptoms, right? So you're telling them you're having, so my first autoimmune condition, I was having headaches, I was having migraines, I was having sensitivity to light.
Right.
And the doctor just kept telling me, yeah, well, sometimes you have migraines. Yeah, well, just take some Tylenol and et cetera and so forth. But they didn't really follow up on it. So you
Okay.
have to advocate for yourself.
Okay.
But I encourage people to donate to the American Liver Foundation, because there are children,
Yeah.
all kinds of people who don't drink alcohol. They're
Right.
not in liver failure because of alcohol, but
Right.
they're in liver failure for other reasons that they can't control.
Right.
So if
So
if
that's
you
the
have some
second
extra
reason.
cash, donate to
That's
the
right.
American Liver Foundation. It's a great foundation helping people who struggle with liver disease.
Excellent. Alrighty. And then finally, the last one, what I'd love to do in this segment with this last resource before we close up is how you utilize these resources, like what was the angle that allowed you to reach out to these resources and the takeaways and benefits? Because people are looking at the resources, they're hearing your story. Now let's figure out, let's share with them the call to action that would be benefit that these resources can be beneficial for them. So let's
Yeah.
go into, so thedrugs.com, ladies and gentlemen, as you can see in the comments and recap, that is to really educate yourself, keep yourself accountable and reliable on the amount of, and on the diagnosis, as well as the prescription medications and over-the-counter medications you're on. So not only can you educate yourself, others in case of emergency, your pharmacist and your doctor as you shift through your journey. Secondly, we talked about the one which was liver, about the American Liver Foundation, where you can provide donations and learn about the other factors and medical conditions that are outside of people who drink alcohol with liver conditions, that there are other components over it. So we'll go to the next resource. Let's talk about what the resource is, what led you to use it, and what the takeaway is, because we got one more, and then we will close. Excellent. All right.
Yeah.
The next one.
So yeah, I don't remember. I don't remember what the next
Okay.
one is. You have to
Okay. No
prompt me.
problem. All right. The last one actually, because we did the other ones, was this one. Outcomes for me. So
Oh yes.
let's
So
let's keep it into the sequence of
yeah.
what it does, how you found it, what benefits you got,
Hmm.
and what you recommend people to utilize it for.
Yeah. So the outcomes for me is specifically for an app and a website that's specifically targeted for breast cancer patients.
Okay.
And it was started as a nonprofit to help breast cancer patients navigate the complex diagnosis of breast. People hear breast cancer, but there are so many different types of cancers under that
Okay.
category. You can
Okay.
have breast cancer in different parts of your body, not just your breasts.
Okay.
It's a very complex disease. And
Okay.
Outcomes for Me is an advocacy app, and it has all kinds of good information. Because one of the things that I talked about is going down that Google rabbit hole, right?
Okay.
You don't want to go down that Google rabbit hole. So you want to find reliable websites, reliable, reputable websites and apps that you can go to get good information. And so for me, the outcomes for me, if you are currently a breast cancer patient or you know someone who is a breast cancer patient, this is a great app and website that's a resource of good information. They also have community message boards in there where other breast cancer patients and survivors are sharing their lessons learned, and you can ask your specific questions and get to hear other people's perspectives on it. So it's a
Excellent.
really great resource for anyone who has breast cancer. So I would say, in general, if you have any type of diagnosis, there's probably, just like the American Liver Foundation, when I had the liver diagnosis, I used that website a lot to get information.
Mhm.
Find a reputable website. Ask your doctor or your nurse, hey, do you know of a reputable website or app that I can use to help me with my diagnosis? So that's another great way to help to get support for yourself.
Excellent. Excellent. All righty. We're coming to the tail end of the segment. Thank you so much for being with us today. And if you are on replay, comment, give it a shout out, and give your thoughts and prayers and all your support. Again, always remember, always consult and talk to your licensed professional before making any changes to your health, wellness, or spiritual practices. Everyone's journey is different, and take what resonates with you and leave the rest. So, Rebecca, in closing, as we talked about the mindset shift, how do we get from that moment and place from diagnosis, prognosis to mental stability and peace? Because you and I, and if you don't know, stress is the silent killer. And also, fear and anxiety weaken the immune system. Number two, we talked about reliable the second component on key tips on how to maintain your stability is that number one, that again, we make sure you use prayer and meditation, what gets your mind at ease. Positive affirmations and a music playlist, the power and purpose of putting your mindset at ease. Finally, water is your friend. And we also talked about all the components of reliable resources, that you are your advocate for yourself, that it's truly important that you speak up and not be silent. How to prevent, how to help your providers and caregivers get a better understanding of what you do and how your body is reacting. We are not mind readers. And listen to your body and intuition as well. And also remember to advocate for yourself. So, in closing, what would you say as far as your journey overall? We did the specifics, the logistics, the resources, and so forth. I would share, if someone is watching today, right now, what would be the direction for them to have to do that they can do immediately right now?
Yeah. So it's a phrase that my husband uh, uses all of the time, and I've adopted it as my mantra for this healing journey that I'm on. And it is one day at a time. A lot
Yes.
of times we get too far ahead. We're thinking about what's going to happen tomorrow, what's going to happen next week. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And we got to slow it down and
Mhm.
enjoy today. Enjoy the moment you're in. Like, I have enjoyed this hour I've spent here sharing with you, and I hope you found some value in it. But
Yes.
enjoy the moments that you have, whether
Yes.
it's a meal with your family or just a peaceful, sitting peacefully on your front porch, or whatever it is.
Mhm.
It's sitting in your favorite chair, sipping a cup of tea.
Yes.
Whatever it is, learn to enjoy those small moments and
Yes.
just think about it one day at a time. Maybe today was a bad day, but tomorrow could be different.
Yes.
So always hold on to that.
Yes.
That's what I would like to leave everyone with.
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish that you have gotten great value, great knowledge. We've got more and more powerful, extraordinary stories that are coming down the pipe. And we may see some of our guests collaboratively all together. So if you found great value, put a thumbs up in the chart. Let me know what you want to hear from our guests, and we will be present. And Rebecca, how can people get in touch with you? What would be the best way, where they can find you, how they can find you, and all the things?
Yeah. So I tell people I'm very conspicuous online. I don't have all of the, I know people have all these aliases. I'm just simply Rebecca Mott on any platform
Excellent.
you can find me.
Excellent.
I post a lot on LinkedIn. So if you're a professional, connect with me over there on LinkedIn. Would love to connect with you and even have a chat with you if you would like that. I can be found on Twitter at Rebecca Mott, but Facebook, you can follow me on Facebook. Again, Rebecca
Mhm.
Mott, simply Rebecca Mott.
Mhm.
And so I'd love to connect with you. I think you're sharing, Andrea, some of the links.
Mhm.
You
Yes.
can you can actually check out my website, RebeccaHMott.com or trainwithrebecca.com. Either one of those will pull up my website, and you can find ways to connect with me through my website.
Excellent. Ladies and gentlemen, as mentioned in the description, you will find all of her social media handles, contacts, and follow and keep up with her on what she's doing next. Well, I appreciate you so much, Rebecca. Thank you much for being here, for showing up and never giving up and being completely transparent, honest, to enhance and bring brightness to Raw and Real as we go from resistance to resilience. Ladies and gentlemen, next episode will be in a couple of weeks, found on April 17th, same time, same place, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We are going to have Mr. Dr. Scott Robinson. And without further ado, any last final thoughts before we sign off?
Just thank you for having me and giving me this opportunity to talk to your tribe about my experience. Thank you so much, Andrea. It's been a pleasure.
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being you. Thank you for showing up. Again, I truly appreciate you. Stay tuned. My name is Andrea Mason, your first choice, your global voice, alumna of Les Brown, the creator and innovator of Press Play, CEO of Press Play, Plan Life According to You, LLC. And this has been our premiere segment. Stay tuned for the link for the playback of Raw and Real, Resistance to Resilience. Stories from individuals who have made a shift in their lives and ready to share them with you. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you real soon. Be safe and be well. Take care.
Disclaimer agreement. The stories shared on the show are personal experiences and reflect the opinions, journeys, and outcomes of the individuals interviewed. They are not intended as medical advice and should not be used as a substitute for professional diagnosis, treatment, or medical care. This show aims to inspire wellness by sharing insights into mental health, emotional well-being, and spiritual practices that have supported others on their healing journeys. While we may talk about things like mindfulness, faith, meditation, or self-care, this content is for informational and inspirational purposes only. We are not your doctors, therapists, or licensed health professionals, and this show does not provide medical, psychological, or spiritual counseling services to you. Always consult a qualified professional for any physical, mental, or emotional health concerns. Listening to or watching this show does not create a therapeutic, doctor-patient, or client relationship. The show, its hosts, guests, and producers are not responsible for any decisions or actions taken based on the content shared. Every healing journey is unique. What worked for one person may not work for another. Please take what resonates and leave the rest. This show shares personal stories and insights for inspiration only. We're not giving medical or mental health advice. Always talk to a licensed professional before making any changes to your health, wellness, or spiritual practices. Everyone's journey is different. Take what resonates and leave the rest. Raw and Real, Resistance to Resilience.